All right, you guys watching? All right, we're recording. Okay, so first thing, right, is if you're working in Illustrator, don't be that person that makes the file the wrong size to begin with, right? What have I taught you guys, right? Now, even if you don't select print, right, it's going to ask you what size, right? If this is in points or in pixels, that's no bueno if you're trying to create something in Illustrator that we're going to print out, right? We need to know. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we use the English system still for some things in this country. So we're going to use our 8.5 by 11, right? Yes, everybody? It's not 8 by 11. It's not 8.5 by 11.5. It's not 8 by 11.5. It's 8.5 by 11. That is a letter size document, right? We've got portrait, landscape. Be very, what's the word? Cognizant of that. All right. We never really mess with this. We like to leave it CMYK because that is the 4-color printing process: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, right? Even though the K doesn't, it's not a B, but that stands for key. We'll talk more about that as we go forward. All right. And we say, okay. All right. Everybody watching? Okay. So we've got our 8.5 by 11. I got to zoom in on this. Hold on. I did this one sideways for whatever reason. Okay, so it's Monito sideways. Okay, so everybody watching? How do we bring out the rulers? Command R, right? This tells you right away. I like to do it that way. I double check. If this looks very small, then I know I'm in pixels or in points or whatever, right? If I do Command R and I see the rulers and it looks almost like 11 by 8.5, and as you zoom in, Command plus, it will show you that you're right at 11 right here. Everybody see that right there? It says right there, I'm right at 11. Okay, so I know it's the right size. Cool. In Illustrator, just like in Photoshop, we use what to keep track of all our stuff and make our work good? Do we use layers? Yeah, we use layers, right? And I've been trying to teach you guys from the beginning, try to name your layers, right? You can create a graphic design with 3 basic layers, right? A placed image, that means artwork, a picture, right? Some text, right? Using the fonts, yes. And something color, right? Color background or background. And then you can build on that. Would you agree that 3 things and you can design something? 3 layers. Yeah? Yes? We can move the layers around, right? Do not drag a layer into another layer because then you get a sublayer. And some of you guys still love to do these sublayer things and drive me crazy with your sublayers. Don't do sublayers. Okay? If you can control them and you know how to manipulate them well, good. If not, they can complicate things. Try to keep all your layers separate and named. Yes? Right? So if you have it layer 1, layer 2, not a sign of professionalism. And again, we haven't done that here, but maybe the next semester we start doing stuff a little bit more realistically and say that I tell one of you guys, hey, you're going to pass on your file to this other person, right? Like in the real world, right? We in the real world, if you're doing this kind of work, you usually have like a central archiving area where people save all their files, and you have to kind of comply to the ways they name the files, right? So that there's no getting mixed up or copying over somebody's file by accident. You're going to work with others. That's the way it works. And even if you work for yourself in the future and you do a lot of digital work, you're going to sometimes need help. You're going to sometimes have to get help from someone that knows how to do something that you don't, right? And you want your files to look professional, right? Any of you end up doing stuff in the print industry, sending stuff to print shops, right? You want your files to look professional, would you not? Yeah, you want people to say, hey, this person knows what they're doing, right? Okay. Not, oh man, their files are a mess. Tell them we can't do it, right? And I've been in that position, guys, and I know it's hard for you to guys to believe. Why are you making so much noise over here? Shh. But I've been in the position at past jobs where my boss says, tell them we can't accept this file. Tell them to fix it. Or we're going to charge them to fix it, for you to fix it. Right? And you're talking nowadays probably 50, $100 an hour, like what lawyers charge to fix a really messed up file. Right? And ultimately, people can send you files that you cannot output. They're just not done right. They're done on the wrong program, whatever. Right? That does exist. All right. Maybe one of the field trips, we'll go to one of the print shops. And so you guys can see that stuff because you have to see it to understand it. I can't just tell you about it. Like the Matrix. Anybody? No Matrix fans? You have to see it, no, to believe it. No, nobody knows the reference. Fine. Okay. First thing, how do we place images? Shift Command P, right? I'm going to look for my folder that I created here, and I'm going to call it review. Where's my desktop? I just made it today. Okay. Also here, list view shows you everything that is new. Let's go to desktop. There it is, review files. Okay. So I can place stuff. Let's look for a JPEG. I didn't put a JPEG in here. Sorry. I don't know what these pictures are of. Let's see. Some medical image. We'll do that one. Some nice blurry. Oh, that's from our field trip, no? Or the afternoon. All right, I'll place that one. All right, so check it out. I'm going to place this file, right? Shift Command P. Now, one of the things, you can place multiple things at a time, right? I could have chosen 3, right? But this is important. When you place something, if you just click, it places it the actual size. And remember how some of our photos are actually ginormous, right? Look at that. Okay. Right. So it's big. You have to scale it. So to scale it, you're going to have to go to the corner or the center, hold down Shift, right? If you do Option and Shift, you scale from the center out, right? So we're scaling it down. So that's one way. Shift Command P. And let me do that again. Let's find another one. Oh, yeah, that's the afternoon class. All right, so here's a similar picture. Let's find another. Oh, some blurry. Some blurry. Get on a skateboard. Oh, that's a blurry one right there. Oh, I can't remember who took this. One of my seniors or I did. There's a jaguar at the zoo. All right, so this is another way to place. Shift Command P, the same. But on this one, you click and you hold, and you can scale it the size you want, right? And there it is, right? That's probably what we want because we want to fit it on the document. Yes? All right, there it is. So is it on the right layer? Look what happened to me already. No. It's on the text fonts. Placed image. Now, I'm going to bring that up to the top layer, right? Background should be on the bottom. Okay, so we fixed that. Zoom back out. All right. Command plus, command minus, zoom in, zoom out. I don't know if you guys remember this. Command 0. Anybody remember? Command 0 is 100% on your screen. That means if you do Command 0, right, and you hold up a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper to your screen, and luckily we have IMAX big enough to do that, right? It'll actually be 100% actual size. Command 0. Okay. So I place my image, and then, like I said, we can do some text, right? We can do a background. Let's do a background new. Just do color. Everybody there? Let's draw a background color. Let's do a fill. Let's make it like a magenta color. No stroke, right? Everybody should know how to add a stroke or not have a stroke. That sounded funny. Don't have a stroke. Get it? No? Anyway. All right. Yes, but you'd be amazed how many people haven't practiced some of this stuff in a while. Okay, I'll lock that layer, background. I'm going to lock the image, right? And I'm going to bring the text up to the top. Okay, if I tell you we need to get something from Vecteezy, this is very important because people mess up here. If you don't pay attention to this one, you're going to mess up. If I want something from Vecteezy and I go download it, there's several formats. You get JPEGs, you get PDF, you get PNG, and you get EPS. Yes, everybody? So make a note when you get .pdf, .pdf, .eps, and sometimes .svg. Yes? You guys seen these sometimes when you download free Vecteezy stuff? Remember these, you gotta open with Illustrator. Open with. Because if you place these, then you cannot access the true vector shapes. What do I mean by that? Check this out. Shift Command P. Everybody watching? Yes? Where? Desktop, sorry. Use list. List will show you the newest. There it is, review files. I've got, everybody look up here. This is straight from Vecteezy. I don't know if we did the minions here. Okay, so check this out. Look at the file format. .eps. Guys, I've had people that are already grown adults working in graphic design, and they email me or call me up. It's been a while, but they used to. I can't open this file to edit the vector. And I'm like, dude, why are you placing it? If you place it, everybody watching? Just like I placed that Jaguar picture, there it is. But if I do Command Y and look at it, right? Command Y is preview. Do I see the vector shapes? Command Y. No, if I zoom in, I can actually see some of the little jaggies on the pixelation, right? Because it's just a picture. This is not the correct way to open an EPS. What did I just say? How do you open an EPS to access the vectors if they have it? Yeah, so Command O. And if I open the same file, this is super important because a lot of people are still gonna miss this, right? Command Y. Guess what? I opened it as a separate file. There are my vectors, right? Now, if I wanted to just grab one of these, this one happens to be they're all ungrouped, but sometimes you open up something from Vecteezy and it's all grouped together like this, right? So you could either ungroup. How do we ungroup? Anybody know how to ungroup? Object, yeah, or Shift Command G, right? Shift Command G is a short command, or you go to Object Ungroup. They are objects. Shift Command G. Now I can separate that. You could also use the direct select, right? Or white arrow. And you could have, even though they were grouped, I could have selected this and then hit delete and gotten rid of that. I could come in here and select just this and copy and paste, and I would separate this, right? By doing that. It's down here. I can't bring it up. There it is, right? I copy and pasted. All right. So now this is a vector that I can copy and paste into my, I'm going to do this new layer. I'm going to call it minion. Command V. Right. So there's my minion. And it's totally editable. I can scale it. Right. I can come in here and I can edit the, if I use my direct select, I can edit the yellow and make it red or orange, right? You understand that I can edit this. I could take this apart and use just parts, right? Right, so it's a fully editable JPEG. So that's super important that you know that you can edit that, right? And I can take all these parts and I can do my own thing with them. Right? And I can end up with just one of the eyes. How's that? Cool. And I can play around with this, bring it over here. And now it became a different thing. You and I know that it's a minion eye, but then this is how you start being creative and you use it in another way, right? Yes, no, open with, right? It's in, okay. So PDF, EPS, SVG. And by the way, I think I mentioned, if you're ever looking for stuff and you can't find a logo, you can always do .pdf in part of the search. And sometimes people will accidentally post something. I think I did it with Starbucks, and they posted some PDF like report for their stockholders, and I was able to open the PDF with Illustrator page by page and select what I wanted, right? So remember, a PDF sometimes is created using a vector program like Illustrator, so you can open it and sometimes take some of the assets from it, okay? All right. Next step. Everyone should know how to make a pattern. Yes? Anyone? Patterns. All right, so let's go new layer, pattern. And I'm gonna turn off minion, I'm gonna turn off fonts, I'm gonna turn off placed image. I just have that. Paste in front, Command F. You should know what Command F and Command B, paste in back, paste in front, right? And what if I told you make a pattern? Does everyone remember how to do this? If I tell you to make a pattern, right? If I tell you to make a pattern. You can hear Mr. Castillo over there lecturing. All right, everybody should be able to do this very quickly. How do we do that? Anybody know?
You drag what you want to replicate, and then it's option drag.
Yeah.
And then control D.
Command D. Okay, very good, very good, excellent. Right. Don't forget some of these basic filters, right? And yeah, that was the eye. All right, and then don't forget some of the basic filters. I might ask you to manipulate something. These are your built-in ones under effect, right? Pucker and bloat. Let's see what that does. And you can create other patterns this way, right? We'll manipulate this stuff. Oh, how about this? Doing something in a circle. Uh-huh. Ah. All right, should I tell you guys? Copy. Oops, sorry. What if I copy, paste in front, and then scale that one down, paste in front, and then scale that one down, paste in front, scale that one down, right? That's all holding my shift. Look at that. Okay, so if I ask you to do something like that, all I did right there was option rotate. Watch this. Let's go back. If you don't remember this, it'll be on the video. Let's go back in time here. So you get your object, right? You select it. You hit R for rotate. And remember, every shape or group of shapes has what we call the axis point. Axis, like the world spins on its axis, right? Right there. Now we can, when we hit the R, we can reposition that axis point, and wherever we reposition it by clicking, we are now rotating that object around that new axis point, right? Say it's very close to itself. Say it's right next to itself. And then I start dragging it to see the motion that it's going to do, and I hold down option. Option starts copying it. If I hold down shift, remember it does it in exactly 90-degree increments. That means it's going to be even, right? Perfectly even, right? So there it is, perfectly even. And then I can grab that one and do the same thing and bring a new axis point for those. Command D, just like duplicate for doing a pattern, right? It'll do it in a circle, right? Pretty cool. Well, actually, it looks pretty cool. All right. So we got patterns, right? You can do all kinds. You can do them in a circle. All right. New layer. Let's do a clipping mask. All right. What does that mean? What is a clipping mask? Let's turn this off. Let's turn this on. We've got our picture, right? A clipping mask is simply creating a vector shape. Now I'm going to do something here on top of, I'm going to do it on the placed image layer, right? Now, some of you guys are good with a pen. Some of you guys have not really worked with it much. You need to work on it more. We are going to use it in Photoshop. All right. Oh, this is important. The next step. Everybody looking? So if I unlock the placed image or Jaguar layer and I start trying to draw on top of it, and then I try to come back and select, I'm going to select everything, right? So can I just temporarily lock an image or a shape or text? Yes. How do I do that? I select it. Command 2 is lock an image or tape it down, right? I always say it's like the analogy is taping it down. I did not lock the whole layer. That means I can still draw on the layer, right? I just taped down that picture. So if I wanted to do this, those of you guys good with a pen tool, I can come in with a pen tool, least amount of points, right? I am going to have you guys do this, so make sure you practice if you're not good at this. Least amount of points. I'm going to put this on stroke only and a bright color so you can see it. No fill, right? It's always good to do that to get a nice trace. And then it kind of goes like this. Now it's not perfect, but I'm using the least amount of points, right? Click and hold and drag. Least amount of points. I'm not going to do his whiskers, but I may ask you to do some detail, right? Click on the last point with your option if you want. I'm going to imagine that I don't see whiskers and it kind of goes like this, right? And you should be pretty quick at this point. Some of you guys are very good. Some of you guys have not done a lot of the pen tool. Again, very necessary to have good control of the pen tool. Yes, it's laborious and tedious. And yes, some of the AI stuff is getting better. But any of you who want to do more video editing in the future, like high-end video editing, they still create masks, right? Just like in live video as opposed to what we're doing right here. A lot of animators, those type of people, they still use a lot of masking. And as far as I know, and the people I've talked to, they still have to have very good pen skills. Now, those of you guys who want to use a tablet, I commend you for that. You remember how I tell you, I don't use that, but if you want to do some high-end stuff, I would start learning how to use a tablet because they do use them, right? As a matter of fact, I would say most people in the high-end audio and video industry and special effects, they use tablets, right? Drawing tablets. Some fancy ones actually. Okay, so I've drawn my shape, right? I select my shape in my picture. I unlocked it. Option Command 2, right? And then Command 7. What's going on over there? Command 7 is my clipping mask. Yes?
Yeah.
Now, what's cool about a clipping mask is, yes, the picture is there. And if I do my Command Y, I can see the photo is still there, right? But it's basically just like a stencil, right? It's like if I got a piece of paper and I cut it out and I put it over the image. But if I use my direct select, that means I can still select my image within the clipping mask, right? And move it around if I wanted to, right? Okay, and what's cool about a clipping mask is it temporarily hides the background of the picture, and I can do all that crazy stuff that I did earlier. What if I did a rotate on this one, and I do like a nice Jaguar flower, right? And then I get my Illustrator, and I draw myself, oh, not a hexagon, an ellipse tool, and I draw myself a circle, and I use some colors, and I go to my gradients, right? You should know how to do a gradient. That's pretty straightforward. Window, gradient, right there. And I always tell you guys, don't go crazy with the gradients, but everybody always goes crazy with the gradients. You should be able to know how to add colors right here on the gradient toolbar. How do you add colors, take away colors? Just click here on this bar. To take colors away, you drag them away. To edit one, you can just manipulate it here and change it. You can do circular by clicking there, right? And then this yellow one, huh? You okay? All right. And then I've got that color, right? Now I can go to the actual gradient tool on the toolbar, right? And edit this on the fly, as they say, by clicking there. And then I have this cool little bar and I can edit that gradient right here on it, right? I can also drag it, and it will allow me, if this were a linear one, to manipulate it the way I want it to. All right. All right, Command 0. All right. And then the last thing we'll cover is text. All right. Everyone here should know how to download a font at this point. And let's go here. Oh, also, if you have a PSD file, right, you could place that. Remember how you can go in there in a Photoshop file and delete some of the background. I'll show you guys that real quick. But let's go to text. Let's go to the internet. I might ask you to go and download some fonts, right? And we've got Font Squirrel. We've got the font. We've got 1000fonts.com, right? We can download some fonts. Everybody should know how to download a font and install it. Let's go to recent, popular. Oh, there's some cool ones. Florida Vibes, Aquante, Ohio Craft. I like this one. Now remember, when it doesn't say download, that's not free. But this one, we're gonna download this one. Download OTF, open typeface, and it'll be a zip folder. Everybody looking, I unzip it, double click. Notice the ones that say TTF, true type font, or OTF, open typeface. Select both, double click them. Your font book will open up. Remember the name, because you can forget. HJet, whatever that means, or Hjet, regular, install, right? Everybody there? Cool. So we go back to Illustrator, HJet, right? Everybody watching? All right, I'm gonna make a copy of that. I'm gonna go to Command T for character, type HJet. There it is. Let's do italic, regular. Let's do regular. Okay, so there's my font. Everybody should be able to do that. Now, this is important. I'll make a copy. How did I do that? Just drag my option. Don't do the old grandma copy paste. Just option drag. All right. Now, there's two things we can do with fonts. We can leave them as is, and you can still manipulate them. This is important. Don't forget this part. You can select one character by itself and come in here, and this is our leading. This is our baseline right here. Look at the baseline. You guys see this? And by doing this, now this is manually manipulating a live font, right? You could do this. Now that's cool and dandy, but remember, you can also manipulate fonts by outlining them. This is the true awesome thing about Illustrator is you can get a font like this, Shift Command what to outline a font? Anybody remember? O, right? Now they look the same, but this is a live font. I could come in here and select the N and change that to a different font, right? Or this one that I just outlined, Command Y. You can see this has been converted to points, right? That means it's not a live font anymore. I can manipulate that. I can get each one of these. They're grouped. Option Command G. I mean Shift Command G to ungroup them, right? And if I can do this now, and I can scale it, I can use my direct select arrow and pull this descender or the leg down, right? I can select just these 2 points and drag those out further, right? And then I could bring the E and bring that down. And this is how you start manipulating fonts so that they become typographic logos or do different stuff with them. Or what I like to do is make custom typography by having them overlap, having them touch, having them even, this is important, the next part, doing Pathfinder or Shape Builder, right? So if I were to select these two and I want this E to cut into this P so that this serif right here creates a negative space, right? That is that is surrounding this serif of this font, then I could do this. I could simply select both. I'm sorry, select the E, copy it, right? Have it in memory because it's going to get used up if I use the Pathfinder tool. Pathfinder tool, very important. I call it like the cookie cutter tool. You look for Pathfinder right there, right? This one allows you to manipulate shapes that are vector, right? You can create cool clipping masks with this. So if I use unite, it's going to make it all one shape. If I use minus front, it gave me this little cutout right there, right? And then if I do command F, there it is. Paste it in front, right? I had it in memory. Now it didn't really do much this way, right? It's just kind of filling in the gap. But if I would have done this before I did the cut with the Pathfinder, what if I increase the stroke? Let's increase the stroke just so you can see it here in another color. And let's increase the stroke. Go to Windows, stroke. There it is. What if I increase the stroke? Notice how the stroke is getting bigger. Let's make it yellow so you can see it, right? There's a bigger stroke. Cool. I'm still going to copy this E, Command C. But before I do the Pathfinder, I go to Object. Yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Is it? Oh, yeah, it is Object. Oh, there it is. Path. Outline the stroke. That means it's going to make the stroke a thickness instead of just a stroke. Because remember, a stroke is just visible, right? It's not actually making the vector larger. But if you outline the stroke, now I have this extra space in between, right? Now, if I do this and I do Pathfinder minus front, I have created a larger gap. And if I repaste my original E, and now I look and I have that nice big gap, right? This is excellent for creating typographic logos, right? You see it in a lot of packaging, posters. How do they do that? Well, this is how they do it, right? Okay. There are other ways you could do that, but that's one cool way to do it. All right, so let's flip that back. All right. And just to give you an example of how this works, what if I were to get some simple circles and include those? Oh, that's a hexagon. All right, so I do these different color circles, and I'm just doing them in different colors so you guys can see how this works. Oops, stretch that one. And I forget on your screen, it may look. And how do we build shapes? All right, so I've got that. Cool. And I could do minus front and those two kind of chop that stuff out. And that's the way you would do this kind of stuff where, what if I did, how do I do a triangle? Everybody remember a triangle? Polygon tool and then 3 points, right? Check this out. Everybody watching? So if I get this rectangle and I rotate that and I get my direct select arrow and I make this even pointier, manipulating it directly. Everybody watching? Watch this. What if I do this? Let's put it in the center. R for rotate. But what if I do this? Right? How do I get compound shapes? Well, I did that. You should be able to manipulate these. Minus front. Now I got this cool kind of fanned out. And I started off with just a circle, right? And what if I did this and added that and added this and scaled that one down? And I select all these and now I unite them, right? And I go back to my Jaguar, get one of these Jaguars, and I can actually undo the clipping mask, release. There's my original picture. I get rid of this shape, rotate this and put this right. Right, here's a photo. I can use any photo and use this new shape as a clipping mask, right? We could do this with text, and we just select both. right? And I can do multiple clipping masks with different outcomes here, right? So even something in a clipping mask can be made into a pattern, right? So you got to be able to manipulate stuff very easily. Whoops. Right. So what's cool about that, you can do all the effects, even to that, right? As long as it's got a clipping mask, you can do that. Cool. All right, so clipping masks. What else am I missing? It was basically how to put stuff together. Oh, super important. And some of you guys, we've had this happen to you in the last few weeks or months. When you use a pen tool or the type tool and you decide not to do something, don't forget these things exist, even if they're out here in your document, right? So one of the things that a lot of people still struggle with is those little points that are left, right? We call them stray points, right? Like they named them after like a stray dog. He's loose somewhere out there, right? Stray points are bad, all right? Don't be that person that has a stray point and you're trying to export something, right? If you try to export something from Illustrator, like we're doing with some of our artwork, and you have a straight point out here, it's going to count. If you have, what happens if this has the cut line applied to it and it's just a dot? What do you guys think? And you send a file, so we do stickers or our shirts, and it has a cut line attached to that little point. What do you guys think happens? Huh? It'll literally reach over anybody else's files if we sent one big file to the printer, to the large format, and go and find that little dot and tap it once right there because it's a cut line. All right. We haven't done a lot of print where we send to a printer or anything, but if you do this and you're sending something like a catalog or some artwork for a magazine and you have a straight point out here, it is possible that it will see it. I know the file will see it, and it could be in a different color format like RGB versus CMYK. It can mess stuff up. All right. So do not have straight points. And remember, I tell you guys, when I used to do the test for people, I would purposefully put a straight point out here in one of the layers hidden and then lock it Command 2 so people wouldn't see it. Only the smart ones figured out that there was something there. All right. People try to trick you. All right. I think that's it for Illustrator. If I think of anything else, but that's basically how to put stuff together, how to make patterns, how to paste in front, paste in back, how to outline fonts, and that's pretty much it. All right, any questions? All right, stop. And
Mr.